We're gonna give it another couple minutes, let some people hop in the audience. We got a couple more people that'll be joining us on stage, although, I mean, half this AMA is gonna be Hubert anyway, and we already have him. But we'll give it another couple minutes and then we will be getting started.
A.M. Eastern Time tomorrow, which will give hopefully those folks who weren't able to participate yet the chance to get in there and join the fun. And I heard some crazy numbers about the total number of treats crafted, but I'm not sure if I can trust the source, so I'll let somebody else say what that number ended up being, but it was pretty crazy. So hopefully people are ready and stockpiled to feed all their pets for now and in the future. And yeah, just a lot of awesome stuff going on. We're still working, obviously, towards the final piece of the patch. Other folks have a little bit more involvement in that side of things than me, so I can let them talk to it. But definitely still progressing and working on making sure that everything is tested and looking great before we release it. And so far, really liking the Hero's Best Friend patch. I think it's been going really well, and hopefully everyone feels the same. I'm excited to see what comes next. I will say that I finally got my Beetle Hulk. I got impatient and I just bought it off the tavern, but it's a thing of beauty. I love my Beetle Hulk. And hopefully everybody else is enjoying the awesome new green pet eggs as well. And then I guess I have to do my obligatory second best dad. Post some alpha for me. Go. Go. To sleep. Maybe he'll do it later. There it is. So yeah, just I don't know if I want to go too far into what this is, but for now I'll just say that it's an amazing looking ore. Take what you will from that. But yeah, just lots of progress on some great stuff, and excited to continue pushing forward. That's all for me, Bolon. For now, there might be more later.
You're unmuted, Bullen, but I can't hear any words you're saying.
Yeah, do we lose Bolon again? Every time.
He's working on it. I'll just add a couple thoughts about the patch. Like, this was such a big patch, and I don't even know where April went. Like, it just, there's so much stuff going on and so much work that was like being poured into it. I think it seems like there's been a lot of patches where we're like, this is our biggest patch ever, and it's always true. And like, it just, every patch is like bigger and bigger. But one thing that really excites me about this patch in particular is just the like implications that it has for the economics of the game. Like every time we add some of these really cool features like treat crafting and equipping pets and stuff like that, that adds more utility for the existing tokens. It just really creates this really healthy impact on the economy that naturally will give rise to like activity for the buyers and sellers and suppliers. It's just really cool to add additional, I guess, like facets to that in-game economy. So these types of releases I'm super stoked about for those reasons. Bolon, does your thing work yet? That sounded more condescending than I meant it to be.
Apparently others can hear him. Magnus said he could.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't
This
hear
is a
him
weird
either.
bug.
It's me. I'm the problem. Okay. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Yeah, I guess maybe I should do that too. I do hear him still.
I don't.
So I guess Bolon's restarting. I just restarted. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And Bolon.
Yay, we're all here.
All right, cool. I love Discord. Anyway, the updated information on the treat crafting promo will be announced momentarily once I get Discord to work. So we will be blasting that out. I was getting so sorry. Next, I was going to go to Magnus for any thoughts on the patch this week, new from last week.
Yep, so I don't have a whole lot this week. Just been working on the Quest Core V3 migration and pet profession bonuses and level 10 profession quests and everything generally quest related. So starting to get some testing on that this week. So yep, just making progress there.
Very nice. Hubert?
Yeah, I'm excited to see all the progress that we've been able to make on this patch. We still have the last big piece, which is what Magnus just talked about. Yeah, I'm getting the pet profession bonuses added in, the new quest core and everything. And that's going to be very nice for us because it's also Quest Core V3 is a diamond, which allows us to do some pretty convenient things when it comes to designing new quests and new features. So it's going to improve our efficiency overall. And I think just in general, as we've been developing our latest features, I think we've kind of leveled up a lot as a team in terms of our capabilities and whatnot. And it's also nice to be able to kind of build off of what we've had before, where we've been improving our multi queuing capabilities to like fit things in fewer transactions, or to like get your transactions all queued up quickly, so you can get through the kind of pain points of working on Web3 with transactions. And I'm excited for what we can do in the future too. We're just getting better and better every time. So that's all right now. I mean, we're also working on our PvP system as well. There's some major changes that we are in the process of making right now. I kind of had a little tease of that I posted in the chat. I'm not going to talk more about that right now, but we are actively working on something that involves that equation, and I'm excited for it. I think it's going to change things up in a good way, and it just, because of it is a pretty fundamental change, so it is a little bit of extra work, and that's kind of why there's been a little bit of a pause in us releasing additional information on that, because we're just focusing on getting that done before we continue our regular development. Yep, that's all I have for now.
Very much appreciated. Fox, I actually want to go to you for three things. One being an update on War Mode Duel. The second being any thoughts on the patch that you care to share. And the third being Avalanche Summit.
I'm going to switch up the order there a little bit and share some thoughts on the patch first. Economics aside, which I already kind of talked about, there's a lot of really cool and exciting things there, I think. But yeah, this was, I was a lot more heavily involved with these latest patches, I think, than sometimes I am for the previous ones. Mainly because Magnus has been like really on like the quests and like the professions and all that type of stuff, and it's exciting stuff too. So I was kind of like filling in all the gaps. But it was a lot of fun to code. We updated Hero Core and Pet Core last week. I think it was last week, right, Hubert? To use diamonds. And that was just a huge step for us, because for the longest time, Hero Core has been blocked from having anything else added to it just because of size constraints, and now we're just unblocked. Sky's the limit. Case in point, this morning I was working on the duels for War on Serendale, which is hitting the gas limit on Clayton, which is smaller than it is over on DFK chain, and trying to optimize it. And so one of the things that we're able to do that we couldn't in the past now is just release a new Hero Core facet that's specifically tailored to give optimized data to duels, so it's not having to just basically get the entire hero object all at once. And that allows us to squeeze out even more optimizations into that. So I'm going to be like releasing a fix hopefully in the next couple hours for that. It's already up on our testnet and it seems like it's working well. It's about a 20% efficiency gain, and hopefully that will allow it to have those ones that are stuck be able to be pushed through. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm really interested in like other ways that we can squeeze out even more efficiency out of our contracts, and I think that like using diamonds opens up new avenues for us to be able to do that. So for those that are stuck in the War Duel on Serendale, sorry, I am working on that and working on that all morning. And I have a pretty good solution that we'll be pushing out here in like an hour or two after the AMA, after it gets more testing under it. That will entail a update to the ABI file. So if you're like one of the builders in the community, watch out for that. It'll be dropping at around the same time that we push that update. And when the update hits, if you don't refresh the interface, you're going to see some weird things for a while with duels. Like it might look like some of the stats are set to 0 or like high numbers or something, but it's not actually what it is. So if you see any weirdness, once that updates, just make sure to hit the refresh and it should fix it. The actual underlying information on the chain is all accurate and okay. So stay tuned for that. Let's see what else with this update. The Pet Bridge and Hero Bridge were updated, and I think that's the first time we've updated Pet Bridge since we launched that. Hero Bridge we updated a few weeks back or something, or perhaps even further back. And so now they're basically sort of working in tandem so that you're able to bridge heroes and pets at the same time in the same transaction. And that also opens up for the future. You'll be able to bridge heroes and other equipment as well at the same time, which I think will be a lot nicer. So if there are any issues with that, please let me know. I have some extra tools I built to sort of allow us uh, to triage and like fix any stuck heroes or things in that process. So, what was the last thing? Oh yeah, the summit. The summit. Usually, like Dreamer would be here and he would give this amazing like recap of the summit. He's on an airplane right now, so you guys are stuck with me. But it was an amazing summit. We were there last year, as all of you probably remember or know, and really made a big splash. This year it was cool because we were there and we sort of felt like we were home. Like, oh yeah, like this is the same area, the same venue, a lot of the same people were there. We sort of felt like, oh yeah, we've already been here and done that, and we know what we're doing, and it was really great. Um, the emphasis this time around, I mean, it was kind of this way last time to a lesser extent, but it seemed like really this time it was on subnets, which is really great because we are the first and the biggest and the best subnet out there. So it really was a good platform and time for us to shine and like highlight some of our numbers that we have there. We currently, I think we do something like 80% of the transactions on the Avalanche network, including all subnets and C chain. So like we do a ton. And we do more gas than Polygon, BNB chain, C chain, Avalanche, C chain, Ethereum, like all of the other chains out there, basically we're blowing out of the water. And it's just really amazing to see that from the players that are actively playing this game. So there was a lot of other projects there that are creating games in the space, which is great. I love to see more of that because, in my opinion, a high tide raises all the ships. And the more quality games that we're able to get into the space, the more players will come, and the more players are here. It's basically just really good for everyone, especially here in the Web3 world where you can do metaverse type things. You could say, hey, players of whatever other game on the blockchain, we're going to have some kind of crossover event and say, bring your NFT and you can do something special in our game or something. So there's really cool opportunities there to work together and have sort of a metaverse style impact there, which I'm always very interested in. That said, a lot of the other games that were there, it was actually kind of interesting because they would like highlight their numbers and like call out their numbers and things, and a lot of them have very impressive numbers, but honestly our numbers kind of blew them out of the water. So we didn't really just go up there and just say, here's our numbers, boom, 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 and just kind of dunk on everyone. We're not about that. What we wanted to focus on was why Web3 and what are we building and what's coming in the future. I'm very interested in on-chain games that have a lot more things going on with the blockchain than just, oh, here's a regular game, and by the way, some of your things can be minted as NFTs. I think that's interesting, but it's not what I'm super interested in, I guess I could say. And that's one thing I love about our app here is that like so much of the game is actually executed and played on chain. And then also the ability where all of the in-game items and things, they're all ERC20s, there's in-game marketplaces, there's a real world economy inside of our game, and that's never been done before. So that's what really excites me about all that. It was really good to see a lot of our partners there. We saw like Layer Zero. I went to a few like networking things with other games and other like projects. There was like DAppOS, and there was a few others that were really good. Also a lot of like VCs were there too, trying to look for things, and so that was interesting. What else? Dreamer was in a lot of those. He was like really on fire there, and he gave a great keynote as well. By the way, at like one of these events, I was at like a hot pot thing. I think there was a picture that was on Twitter, but some guy was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that that keynote from Dreamer, and that man, he just has this amazing voice like for those things. I was like, oh great, I'll make sure to tell him that. So, there's a lot of people there. Every time we introduce ourselves, like, oh yeah, like we know you guys. You guys are DeFi Kingdoms, and it was just really cool to see that there, and then have the energy and the spirit that was there at these events that are always there at these events, where all those that are still trying to build in this crazy market that we're in are there, like supporting each other and encouraging each other, and that's what it's all about. On top of that, it was also really, really great to have some like one-on-one like FaceTime with some of our European team members that were there. And we like had really good team dinners and just being able to like sit and talk with each other, and it was really great to see like Sasha and Pinecone and like others that were there. We also had a like booth set up for our app to be sort of playing, and then we had a lot of people stop by and like have a look at it and ask what it was about, and like sit down and play duels or play combat and stuff like that too. So thanks for that picture. Whoever just posted that. I'll let Bolon talk a little bit more about that, because he was really on fire too, and he gave a great panel as well. Everyone really was just like doing a great job, especially Pinecone. He's this API guy, very smart. He was out there doing like biz dev, like speaking with people and like selling them on things and like creating new connections and stuff. And it was cool to see a lot of people wearing like all those hats there. So I've monologued for like probably 10 minutes by now, and I'm gonna let Bolon speak a little bit more about that. So there you go, Bolon.
Yeah, you didn't mention the awesome hats.
There you go. I'll let you mention it.
So we did a merch collab with Avalanche, which resulted in these fantastic red bullish hats. There were only 100 of them. We did snag 5 of them to bring back home to do a giveaway. So stay tuned for that. I have not decided yet what we're going to do for that giveaway, but we will be giving them away. But they're super cool. It was a lot of fun, like walking around the different areas and being like, hey, they're wearing a DFK hat. So that was really cool. Like Fox said, the team dinners were fantastic. A lot of that was the food, but the company was good too. Always good to be able to see, Sasha and Pinecone and a lot of us, well, none of us really get to see each other super often anyway, but getting to see some of our European friends was fantastic. But yeah, like Fox said, the summit itself was absolutely incredible. It was a lot of fun to be there and really cool to be back there. Pretty much everybody knew who we were, which is always cool. But we made a lot of good connections. I think just myself, I started like 15 Telegram group chats with Sunbear and Strider to keep pursuing. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of great people that we got to meet. Very, very interested to see where a lot of that goes. On the front of the talks, so Christian Peters was fantastic and recorded Dreamers, so it is on the DFK Today YouTube. So if you haven't seen it, you can check it out there. As far as all the rest go, Avalanche does have them. They are currently with their design team doing some editing and inserting graphics and all that fun stuff. But they will be uploading them to YouTube, and I believe sending us the files as well. So if you didn't get to see any of us talk, you can in probably a couple weeks. So be patient, but they will be live, and anybody who missed them can go check them out. But it really was just a great event. It was very, like, the attitude of everyone there was very build focused, which was really cool to see. And it made it just a lot more fun interacting with people, because we're always very build focused and sometimes others aren't. So it was really nice to just be in an entire build environment. So huge shout out to Ava Labs and Avalanche for doing a phenomenal job hosting it. It just gets better each time, and I look forward to it getting better again next year. On the event front, the next event that we will have a presence at is 3XP in LA in June. We're looking at having Dreamer and Sunbear be there. We did actually create a channel in the server, which I will announce a little bit later, but it is live now if you want. In the reaction roles, you just react to the IRL events roll. And then that way for all of our community that's going, if you want a place to coordinate, find out who else is going to be there, etc., please hop in there. I know Christian and Sargent have been very, very busy planning some stuff for our community at 3XP, which is phenomenal and so appreciated. So definitely hop in that channel and find out who else is going to be there, coordinate being able to meet each other. Which also reminds me, I almost forgot to give a shout out to our community members that came to Summit. So we put out kind of a last minute call of, hey, if you want to go, we have some tickets, but it's got to be kind of quick. And we had, I believe we had 9 people take us up on that, if I remember correctly. And got to meet some really, really phenomenal community members. So we really do appreciate y'all coming out, showing up, supporting us at these events, but also just getting to meet y'all. It's really cool for all of us. Obviously, you know, I spend a lot of my time here with you guys in Discord. So getting to actually meet some of you in person who I've talked to for years at this point is always just a really awesome experience. So if you ever have a chance to join us at an event, I highly encourage you to do so. We're a lot of fun. But yeah, so that was it on the event side. One other thing I wanted to throw out there real quick, if you missed the announcement right after the AMA, Sasha and I will be going live on YouTube to do the drawing from the Dark Summoning event. So we had a pretty awesome result from that. 17,556 heroes were burned in a week, which is really, really cool. So we will be doing the drawing for that after this. And I think that was everything I meant to talk about right now. So I'm going to kick it back to Hubert. We've talked about the summoning cooldown RFC a couple of times, and that will be going live today a little bit after the AMA. We'll be getting that posted. So going to Hubert for some thoughts on that.
Thanks, Bolin. So before I say anything, I just want to preface that this is just Hubert thoughts, how I think about this, and you know, everyone has their own thoughts on the idea of increasing summoning cooldown times. For myself, when I had initially designed these cooldowns, I actually did have a much longer cooldown time in mind as far as like where things start and where they end. And I guess my general concern was that if we make it too short, then, you know, at first it'll work out okay, but once we get to, you know, where we're going to be releasing more Gen Zeros, where we're releasing, and they've had a lot of time to summon a lot of like Gen 1s, we've created a situation where it's much easier for heroes to proliferate. Really, it all is just a supply and demand formula where if the more heroes there are, the cheaper they end up being in general, just because there's more supply. You know, if you reduce the supply capability of all heroes, then I think you would expect that the demand would go up, which should lead to, for example, if Gen Zeros had a much longer cooldown timer before their next summon, I think you'd see that Gen 1s become much, the supply goes down as far as like new Gen 1s, so you would see their demand go up a lot. So I just want to make sure that people are thinking about the whole equation where it's not just, oh, I can't summon as many heroes now, it's also the supply of these heroes is less now, so they should be priced higher potentially. So I think it does balance out, just like everything else in the game economy. You know, we saw this happen with tiers as well when the supply of that changed, and the utility of them increased. We did see the price of that go up as well. So there are, you know, I while it sounds potentially like a bad thing, I guess, just some people that not be able to summon as much as frequently, I think there's another side to that coin, and I just want to make sure people are thinking about that too, going into this vote. And just another reminder that we on the team do not vote on things that we propose, so you won't be seeing, you know, us influencing this, other than, you know, this is, I guess, my effort to at least have my thoughts on the matter be shared. So Yeah, that's all I will say on that. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys on it and seeing what you guys think. Like we mentioned before, if there isn't interest, we're not going to change it. So, and even if there was interest, we would be proposing different options as well. So it's like voting in support of this is only just showing us your interest. It doesn't mean any specific change would happen at that point. So, but yeah, that's all I will say on that topic. Now I can't hear Bolon anymore.
Maybe because he's gone, or did he just leave? Might have tried to restart, but I also couldn't hear him for what it's worth.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good Lord. Okay. Anyway, yeah, unless anybody has any updates that I am forgetting to touch on, we will go into some questions. Anything I'm forgetting? Taking it as a no. All right, let's get into some questions. So as everybody knows, we have a couple weeks of questions kind of built up, so we're gonna get through as many of them as we can today, and then we will keep catching up on them next week, which I don't think it'll take more than that for us to be fully caught up. If you've submitted a question, I am gonna go a little bit out of order for some things that are a little more time sensitive, like questions on level 10 quests, profession skill 10 quests. So I'm not skipping your question. I promise we will be back to it. So with that, the first question I'm actually going to take myself, which is on the Dark Summoning event prizes, why we did not include stones. So we're going to be doing that drawing right after this. The reason that we did not include stones in this one was really just, as we talked about it, it felt kind of bad to say, hey, go summon a bunch of heroes, and then you might win stones that you could have used while summoning those heroes. So that's pretty much what our thought process was on that, which is why they were not included in this prize list. We did hear the feedback on it, and if as we do other events in the future, we will also account for that. But that was our thought process behind it. Anything anybody wants to add before we go to the next question? All right. Next question is going to be probably Magnus, but maybe some Fox as well. Quest Core 3 and gas efficiency, particularly on Clayton. Are we expecting more efficient, less efficient, similar efficiency? What can we expect there?
Yeah, sure thing. So we are getting closer to the launch of the Quest Core V3 with diamonds and also level 10 profession quests. So we're starting to get a better idea of all the nuances that go into kind of like that limit on Clayton, as well as gas on DFK chain. And obviously we're trying to keep those both as low as possible to make sure we can squeeze out the max number of quests on Clayton. And also keep the gas low on DFK chain. So we're kind of like using the same contracts right now. And in the future, we may look at splitting those out into kind of two different implementations that both optimize for different things. But for I guess like speed of development reasons, we're using those. There are a few different variables that are shifting with this release. So we did convert the quest to diamonds, and we're getting to the point of being able to take a baseline on that and see what we can get to, just kind of like as an apples to apples comparison of Quest Core 2 versus Quest V3. And then once we're there, we can really start optimizing things, like so going back to basically what Fox mentioned earlier with doing like very specific I guess like data writing to the chain for both heroes and pets, now that those are added into the questing system. And so there's a lot of potential for optimization. However, I guess we are kind of dealing with the laws of physics almost, that if we're adding more logic with pet professions and level 10 quests, that the kind of like baseline gas usage will go up. But I'm pretty optimistic that we can make some continue to kind of like wring out some more optimization in terms of gas and computation limit with this change to diamonds for a lot of our contracts. But yeah, I guess short story is we there's gonna be a change for sure. We're not sure if it's gonna be up or down, and then once we can have that good baseline, we can really start kind of hammering in on optimizations. And our goal is definitely for sure to try to squeeze in as many quests on Clayton as we can, because we love to see activity over there as well as on DFK chain. So hard at work at that, and we'll have more to come on kind of like specifically what the limits will be very soon. Also, while I'm on the questing note, I forgot to mention this earlier. We're going to be releasing the Quest V3 ABI hopefully in the next few days, might be early next week. So everyone in the community can start integrating those. This will be an entirely separate contract from Quest Core V2, and we're gonna at some point during that deployment process shut off the ability to start quests on Quest Core V2, but you'll still be able to complete and get your rewards. Then we'd like to get everybody kind of cleanly migrated over to Quest Core V3. So yeah, we'll have some docs on that coming out soon. And also, I guess just kind of a known bug we found out about in the last few days. Thanks to the help from the community, Zipper identified a bug with meditating while on a quest that can cause the quest status to get cleared for your heroes, and that can lead to them getting stuck. So we'll be fixing up that as well with this release. I think that's everything kind of quest related, and hopefully that answers your question. I know I've kind of touched on kind of the gas versus computation limit issue in the past, but we're going to do everything we can to get some more optimizations in, and a lot of this technical debt we've eliminated recently with the change to diamonds will help with that.
Thank you much, Magnus. All right, we are now going to enter into Hubert hour here for a moment. And by a moment, I mean several moments. So, you ready, Hubert?
The rest of the AMA is what he means. Yes.
Yeah, same thing. So the first question is on skill level 10 quests. If a hero has 10 plus skill points in their native quest, so let's say a foraging hero, and they are then equipped with a pet that has innate fisher, for example, would they be able to then do skill level 10 fishing?
They would not. It still checks the skill level of the quest that's being done. So those are always separate from each other. Foraging skill is not the same as fishing skill or any of the others. So they would have to get to level 10 fishing skill first, and then could start doing the level 10 profession quests or fishing quests.
Next, does Giant Slayer stack?
It does, but that's not to say that we won't be adjusting any numbers in the future if we find that it's too powerful. So I guess just keep that in mind.
Don't ape into broken mechanics. Let's see. Any plans on adding the ability to craft regular or greater stones and crystals?
I'm gonna leave that at a maybe, but it is something I've been thinking about a lot recently. I'll say that.
Nice. Is there a finite hero cap?
There is not, and that kind of plays back in my previous discussion.
Right.
But yes.
Let's see. Plans for hero customizations.
I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that, but I mean, you did see with our patch yesterday, we released equipment, at least the first iteration of that, which is being able to bond with pets. But you could see that there were also 2 weapon slots, 2 offhand slots, an armor slot, and an accessory slot. So as far as like customization of your hero, I think there's quite a lot of different options there. But I'm not sure if they were asking at a different angle than like, I guess, gameplay customization.
Fair enough. If you submitted that question and that was not the information you were looking for, submit a new one with some specifics. We'll get that answered. Also, real quick random question from chat. How many rings can a hero wear?
There's only one accessory slot, so
Let's see. Any planned uses for cosmetics currently?
at the moment, no. I think in the past as well, we've said the same. But I mean, yeah, nothing at all anywhere near term or probably midterm either. But our project is a long project, so we'll see.
All right. Let's see. Ready to get into some crafting stuff?
All right.
Will recipes have a bind on pickup or bind on learn mechanic, or will they always be tradable?
So I guess before answering any of these, I'm just going to preface that we're still very early on our development of the crafting system. So there's a lot of top level decisions that have been made or ideas that are being leaned towards, but in the process of developing, things may change. But with recipes, I have been planning on them being consumable. So once they're used and learned, the item itself, the recipe itself, goes away.
But you would be able to not necessarily teach it to the hero that finds it in the current thought process.
Right, that's true. Yeah, it would be something that would be tradable, but once it's learned, it would be consumed.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Where can players expect to be able to find recipes?
Uh,
In
in
the
many
future.
different ways is my plan. In many different ways, I want to have there be fairly rare recipes or extremely rare recipes, even some common ones, and everything in between there as well. So it kind of depends on how many recipes we're going to have. Initially we're going to have recipes for levels 1 through 20 to 30. And then as the game progresses, we'll be adding new recipes for higher levels and potentially expanding on what we have in the lower levels as well. So it's going to kind of be an ongoing, growing process of getting recipes. And I will say that I don't plan on there being any one source of recipes. I expect there to be many.
In the current thought process, would a recipe be learned per hero or per wallet?
It would be per hero.
Good deal. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Would class or subclass be involved in crafting through the discovery of recipes or other manners? So, like, could some recipes only be found by certain classes?
That is something that I haven't thought about too much. It's possible, but yeah, I'm not going to commit to one way or the other.
All right. Plans for class sets of equipment.
Maybe.
All right. Along those same lines, thoughts on bling for pets? Get some necklaces for those bloaters.
Oh man, SBD would. uh, maybe not. Probably not. We'll see.
I feel like there's already a drawing being made as we speak. Let's see. On a slightly different topic, but also combat related. Any thoughts on emotes in combat?
I think that's a good idea. We'll see if like if we do something like that, it probably won't be in the first iterations. But I do like if anyone's played like Magic Arena, I think they have kind of a similar thing. Or I think also Hearthstone as well has kind of a similar thing where you can say a few different taunts or good games or whatever to your opponent. And I think something like that would be useful here too. We have had talk about there being like in-game chat functionality as well. So one way or another, I think we will have more ways to communicate with other players in the future.
Awesome. All right. And here's one that I think will allow you to expand a little bit more. And also possibly some others weigh in also. how do we intend PvP, or actually, I'm going to change that question a little bit. How do we intend combat to impact materials and token usage, and what in-game economy shifts are we hoping to see with combat?
So, well, yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, one that'll probably go long on. So, I mean, we've talked about this before with potions. Right now, the only potion that is really used for anything is, I guess, besides for the crafting of lesser enhancement stones, is the stamina potion. However, all the potions that do exist now and any potions that may exist in the future have always been intended to be used as a part of the combat system. So each of those, they all require ingredients that come from the profession quests, and in tournaments and whatnot, people will have access to some amount of potions that they can use. So, if you go into a tournament without potions, I think you're going to be at a disadvantage against others that do. So I do expect that to cause a pretty heavy amount of pressure on those materials. Though, I mean, we'll have to see how things go, of course. But so there's that. Then when we talk about also the crafting system and equipment, that is another system that's going to be highly focused on, going from like raw materials to a usable item. And we are also planning on equipment having durability. So you won't be able to just use the same weapon or the same piece of equipment forever. It'll eventually break. So that is another thing where I do expect there to be kind of a constant demand of crafting materials from that as well. So in general, I see, once we start really getting into combat, PvP, and I think even more so PvE, when we have a pretty solid gameplay loop going on where people are traveling and hunting things and getting good equipment so that they can actually defeat a dungeon or whatever. I expect that we'll really start to see the economy having a lot of moving parts at that point. So I'm really excited for that. It's just there's a lot more still for us to go, and it's just going to be an ongoing process where things are we're just going to add more and more. So
Real quick, it came up immediately. You mentioned equipment durability, expecting a repair system.
yes, though it will be limited. It won't be infinite repairs, but yes.
Awesome.
And it'll be a thing that crafters do. Is the plan.
I have those crafters. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on PvP or combat and the economy?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I can't speak to it authoritatively like Hubert can. I'm just excited for it. I think there's going to be a lot of cool things that it's going to drive. As I was sort of alluding to earlier, every time we release a new really big feature like this, it adds another facet, and those have a compounding effect. Like the more of those you get, it's sort of like exponentially more utility within the system, which I love. So, yep, stoked about it.
Yes, very much so. It is an exciting time, without a doubt. Awesome. So I think we will actually wrap up there so that we have some time before we go over to the drawing. So anybody who participated in the Dark Summoning event, make sure you check out the drawing that will be taking place right after this. I will drop the YouTube link as well when this is done. So prior to that, as always, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's up here and in the audience. Again, I'll throw out don't ape into broken mechanics. But just really wanted to reinforce, I said it earlier, but huge shout out to all of our community members that showed up at Summit. That was absolutely incredible. I know there's a absolutely insane group prepping for 3XP. So just wanted to say that, we really do appreciate that. It means a lot to have y'all there with us. I can't think of any better representation for us as a community or a project than having our community show up at these events to support us. Like that's the absolute best recommendation that can be given to anyone. So thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. And now, anybody have any final thoughts they wanted to share before we wrap up for the day?
I'll share a few unless someone else wants to go first. Okay. I sort of said it earlier about at the event there was a lot of other games and things that are happening, a lot of subnet stuff happening for subnets, and it's cool to be in the situation we're in where we had a good head start. Like we were the first real blockchain game DEX on-chain utility NFT, just like so many buzzwords. Like we were at the forefront of it, and it's really cool to have this entire year, actually 2 years really, of just building. Like we've been building, and you see a lot of other people that are entering into the space, which is awesome. As I said, a high tide raises all ships. I feel like we have a good head start, and we will continue to push and maintain that, and really just like capitalize on that, because there's been so much work and effort and time that have been poured into this project, and we're in a really good position, and we will stay at the cutting edge of that as well. That is and always has been our goal, is to push that envelope of like the Web3 space. So super excited about that, and super bullish about everything. So I don't know if we're yelling bullish yet, but that's my bullish. Anyone else?
If no one else has final thoughts before we bullish and wrap up, you're being called out in chat for dropping a little about the recharge system and then not continuing.
I thought it was a teaser. That's the definition, right? I'll just say that the smart contracts that are deployed right now have the functionality built in. Maybe people that have looked at the ABI files might see some things. It's turned off right now, but stay tuned, because I think we're going to launch it next Wednesday, probably. Don't quote me on that. Okay. Yep.
Nice. Gotta make you tease a little more on the teaser. All right. Well, in that case, we will call it a day. Well, Fox, you already did one bullish. You want to do another one for us?
Bullish.
Bullish.
Flash.
Bullish.
See y'all shortly.